Hey guys, SoCal Val here. You are listening to the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast.
Welcome everybody back to the Hitting the Turnbuckle channel. This is the Raw review show. Raw emanated from Albany, New York this week, and it was headlined by Seth Rollins taking on Jey Uso for the World Heavyweight Championship. However, before that, they had a lot more action that had taken place. Started with Drew McIntyre and Sami Zayn had a segment at the start of Raw, which led to the match that they were starting straight away, which was a very hard-hitting contest. Drew McIntyre picking up the victory with the Claymore and progresses through. We're not sure whether Sami Zayn may be having an injury or maybe written off TV after Raw. We'll get into that in a minute because Drew McIntyre certainly wasn't finished this week, even though he began Monday Night Raw. So we'll get into a bit more of that later on. And in fact, straight away after that, Byron Saxton had a backstage interview with Baszler, who will be facing Nia Jax a bit later on. And Shayna's remarks was she was the one that, well, Nia was the one that put her on the shelf, and she will go after her limb via limb. That match happens a bit later on. Now, as I've mentioned, Drew McIntyre hadn't finished Raw after that first match with Sami Zayn. He annihilates him backstage. And again, what does that mean? That Drew McIntyre has written Sami Zayn off TV for a while? What's going on there? We know Kevin Owens had a potential hand injury on SmackDown. I believe that is just storyline driven, but whether or not Sami Zayn will be away for a period of time, I don't know. But it's unusual to do that kind of beatdown without meaning that somebody is away for a period of time. So we'll have to see next week if Sami Zayn is back or whether he's taking some time off. Jey Uso was next with a really good promo building up to his title match with Seth Rollins in the main event, just about saying how it's his time, how he's worked so long and hard to get this opportunity. And he wants to take the World Heavyweight Championship away and to prove from Seth Rollins and to prove that he is main event Jey Uso. Now going backstage now with Byron Saxton again, Becky Lynch and Nia Jax are looking to maybe reignite a feud that started a few years ago. If you remember, before Survivor Series, Nia Jax punched Becky Lynch in the face, busting her nose open. She was in the crowd at the time, and that's really kick-started Becky's career as the man at that point. But Becky wants to give Nia a receipt. And as Nia Jax said, well, once I've finished with Shayna Baszler, I am all yours, which led to the aforementioned match between Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax, which Nia Jax did indeed win on the match. It was actually quite a decent match considering, there is a size difference, there is a clash of styles here. It wasn't particularly bad. I've seen worse matches that Nia Jax have had, but this was actually all right. She won it with the Annihilator, and Becky Lynch walks down to the ring after the match, and Nia Jax decides that leaving the ring would be better on this occasion. But it looks as if they're building towards a Becky-Nia feud. Not sure about that one. I'm not sure how it's going to work, but we'll see. Becky Lynch very rarely lets you down in terms of her ring action, so we'll see what happened on that one. The next match was the match I was probably one most looking forward to other than Seth and Jey, which was a 2 out of 3 falls match between DIY and the Imperium, Ludwig Kaiser and Giovanni Vinci. And this was absolutely brilliant. 2 out of 3 falls matches, you rarely get a bad one. When you've got 4 workers in the ring that can work as well as DIY, Ciampa and Gargano, and Vinci and Kaiser, it was going to be brilliant, and it absolutely was. DIY pick up the pinfall. Now that is also interesting because we know recently that Gunther has not been happy with both Vinci and Kaiser. He's been leaning towards one, then leaning towards the other. This is another defeat for Imperium. So what will Gunther have to say about it? Well, we'll have to wait and see. There was a bit of a funny backstage segment with R-Truth again in the Judgment Day's clubhouse. Rhea Ripley and Finn Balor coincidentally wasn't at Raw tonight, interestingly enough, but the Creed brothers have got Judgment Day coming up, and Judgment Day are looking forward to handling business There was also a bit where Chelsea Green and Piper Niven were trying to play mind games with Natalya and Tegan Knox, which actually then leads into Natalya and Tegan against Kayden Chance and Katana Chance and Kayden Carter, who actually won this match themselves on this, and connects with the keg stand. Did Katana Chance to pick up the victory, and after the match, Chance drop kicks Chelsea Green off the ring apron. I'm not quite sure with these teams. Again, the women's tag division, much like the women's division at the moment in WWE, is kind of, I don't know, it kind of needs a big reset. I really do think they need to call up some more from NXT. I know obviously Kayden and Katana both come from NXT, but I think it's time now that we saw the likes of maybe Tiffany Stratton, Ivy Niles up on the main roster with Diamond Mine. We need to see a bit more of her because she can go in the ring. But yeah, it just seems a bit stale at the moment. We'll see what happens with that. Probably as we head into the next year, I would have thought maybe the Royal Rumble way. But next on was a segment between Cody Rhodes and Shinsuke Nakamura. So obviously last week we found out that Shinsuke Nakamura was talking about Cody those last few weeks that he's been doing those promos. It wasn't Punk, it was Cody. Basically saying Shinsuke Nakamura has been saying that they both had stories they hadn't finished, and he's going to finish Cody Rhodes' for him. Now, interestingly enough, there was another little path on this where he links with Okada, Shinsuke Nakamura. He took over part of Okada's old group in Japan. So, and there was a reference on Raw that Nakamura actually made about that, which I find very, very interesting indeed. I think he said along the lines of, I will bring chaos to you. Now, chaos, Nakamura was the leader of chaos before Okada. So that brings into, are we going to see Okada? We know Okada's contract's up soon. As late as, I think as late January is up. We know WWE have got interest. They was dropping Easter eggs about CM Punk before he returned. So whether or not this is the same with Okada, we don't know. But just an interesting little Easter egg there. We'll see what happens. Seth Rollins was backstage at this point. Now, Adam Pearce has said to Seth Rollins that he's invited CM Punk next week to go be on Raw, and he wants to sign Punk to an exclusive Raw contract. Rollins was like, he doesn't give a damn. You got to do what you got to do, but when CM Punk shows his true colors and when it blows up in your face, do me a favor, stay out of his way. And basically said, fair enough. And Pearce said, fair enough. And then there was a bit of respect things about Seth Rollins, but at the same with Rollins and Uso, but Rollins then obviously, I'm going to stomp you in the face first chance I get. And Uso responded with, that's cool, because I'm going to kick you in the face the first chance he's get. And that was about as friendly as they got at that point. The next match was Dominik, Mysterio, and JD McDonagh of Judgment Day versus the Creed Brothers and Ivy Nile. The Creed Brothers pick up the win with the Brutus Ball. I really love the Creed Brothers as a tag team. I've liked them in NXT. They are a proper tag team, if that makes sense, and not just two guys that have been thrown together. They've been a tag team for so long that it actually, and it works, and it shows that, whereas it doesn't show that with JD and Dominik and some of these other ones that they just put together, like a Tegan Knox and Natalya, just doesn't really work because they haven't been a team, whereas the Creed Brothers have always been a team, like the Usos. It really does show in these types of matches, and as I say, the Creed Brothers pick up the victory and heading towards a match maybe with Priest and Balor for the tag team titles. It did say next week on Raw that Cody Rhodes will fight Shinsuke Nakamura, so that will be a really good indication of where they're going with that. A little bit early, I think, in my opinion, depending on how long they're going to long this out for. Royal Rumble is going to be 5-6 weeks away at that point. We've still got a lot of build towards Rumble. We know Cody is going in the Rumble. We know CM Punk is on SmackDown this week, as well as he's coming back to Monday Night Raw next week. But is Cody and Nakamura feud? How long is it going to go on for? We don't know, but a bit early for a match, unless they're going to have maybe a few matches going along. Maybe they have one or two, or maybe even three. Maybe one will get a victory, the second one will get a victory. Maybe in the first Raw of the new year, they'll have a blow-off match, perhaps. It led quite nicely into the main event with Seth Rollins and Jey Uso for the World Heavyweight Championship. This was fantastic. This match delivered in every sense of the word. It was no surprise, really, when you've got Jey Uso and you've got Seth Rollins in the ring. There was absolutely no surprise that this match delivered. It had a close close call near falls. We had some Uso splashes, a lot of super kicks. Rollins eventually countered one of the spear from Jey Uso into the pedigree and then picks up the curb stomp for the victory. They shook hands with each other at that point, but it wasn't over. And I mentioned Drew McIntyre hadn't finished from the early part of Raw. He absolutely destroyed Jey Uso, put him through a table. He caught Rollins in midair into a belly-to-belly suplex. And funnily enough, as Raw went off the air, McIntyre said to Dre, "The truth will set you free." That was Monday Night Raw. It was a really good Raw again. They've been picking up a lot of momentum recently, WWE, with their programming. SmackDown has started to get better now. Randy Orton's back full time. Mentioned CM Punk is coming on SmackDown this week. Roman Reigns returns next week to SmackDown. So Randy Orton and Roman may be going face to face on next week's SmackDown with any luck, as Randy decides that he wants to go for the Tribal Chief. Expecting that to be at the Royal Rumble, potentially, as Roman Reigns isn't, I don't think, advertised for Elimination Chamber in Australia. That was a Raw review. Coming up a bit later on this evening, I sit down with the GM of Ignite, Mr. CJ Carter. We're going to talk through Ignite in 2023 and going into 2024. And at 7:30 this evening, whilst I'm on with CJ Carter, there will be an announcement regarding the Hitting the Turnbuckle's first sponsorship of 2024. And we are delighted with the people that we're sponsoring 2024, and you'll get the first one tonight. We're very happy about that. Also, going forward, we will be sitting down with Eric Bischoff again next Thursday, the 14th of December. I can't wait for that myself. And Dave, our co-host, has got a bone to pick with Mr. Bischoff. So it'll be interesting to see if Dave goes over what he wants to talk to Eric about, mainly about AEW. But we'll see what happens with that. We're talking with Brian Clark. We're talking with Scotty Riggs to come on the show, ex-WCW guys as well. So hopefully we can tie them up and firm up a date to get those guys on, and we'll announce that soon. But guys, follow us on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it, at HTT Buckle. Just type Hitting a Turnbuckle on all other social platforms, and we will be there. I'll be back a bit later on this evening to chat to CJ Carter. But until next time, everybody, buckle down and stay safe.